This is Chesapeake Motorworks, and today we will be working on this 2014 BMW X3 that has sticky interior door pulls. This is a common interior issue on these vehicles, and it also extends to the E70 X5 and I believe some other BMW models as well. The soft touch materials on these vehicles tend to degrade over time and they turn gooey. And then when you go to close the door, it leaves your hands a sticky mess. The driver's side is very easy with an aftermarket part, and the passenger side is significantly more involved, which we'll get to here in a second. We're just going to be covering this with an aftermarket piece. Ordinarily, if you try to replace this with the genuine part, you have to pull the door card off, and the part's also expensive. This way is much easier. It takes all of 5 seconds to do. I'm gonna leave a link to the description to the part that we're using, which is this one, so you'll see that this is different than the factory piece. All we do is remove this back, and this slides in and covers all the sticky material. To do this, we're just going to remove this back piece, and you just kind of put your fingers back here and pull up, and it just pops right out. It's really that simple. You can see this one's actually in pretty good shape. And then what we're going to do is we take our aftermarket piece, and it just slides in and it covers everything. So you just push it down until it clips in, like that, and you're done. So this is actually really, really simple, and it's a huge upgrade to your vehicle. We are at the passenger side door, and the door pull that we're replacing, or the component we're replacing, is this black piece inside. We're going to be using these trim tools I bought off of Amazon. I will have a link in the description. You see they're brand new, never used them before. So the first step here to pulling this door panel off is there are two hidden panels that we need to remove that conceal screws. They're T20 Torx screws. This pops off. You start at the top and it's got a little hook at the bottom. So we're going to take our trim tool and try not to damage this. Okay, just careful. It does take a little bit of force, and because I want to reuse this one, I don't want to break it. And then it just unhooks on the bottom here, just like that. And I'm going to try and clean this up as well, because this part is sticky from this black plastic piece back here that has the soft touch material that's coming apart. The new one that we have looks like this, and I will have the link in the description. So you can see no more soft touch material, and it looks much, much better than the old one once we take it off. The next trim panel that we have to remove that hides a screw is this little cover right here. It looks like it's for a tweeter. So we just take a trim tool and try and pop that out as well, carefully. Again, it takes a little bit of force. Just use your common sense. You see there is a tweeter here, and then there's a screw underneath. Now I'm going to take the T20, and we're going to remove these 3 screws here, and there's 2 more underneath the door. So when you get on the ground, you can see there's one right here. Oops. And one right here. So at this point, nothing is actually holding this door on other than the plastic clips that are behind it. So we can get our trim tools out again and use it to pop this door card off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a box so I can sit this door card on top of it, because we're not going to remove the entire panel. Instead, what we're going to do is just loosely pull it off so we can get access to the screws that hold this piece on, and then simply replace this and put it all right back together. Now we're going to pop this panel off. We're going to start at the bottom. So these do take some force, and you just kind of have to feel around for where the plastic clips are, and pry at the clip as much as you can, and that will keep you from damaging the panel. Okay. And once we get up to the top, this pulls straight off. Just like that. And that's why we have the box underneath. It's kind of hard to see, but this latch is hanging up. So we're gonna disconnect that. It just kind of slides off, I believe. So that's off. And now we're on the indicator here, and that will just slide off like that. So we're behind the panel right now. And you can see this is the bottom part of the handle, and one screw is right there, and it's silver. And we come up to the top, and the other screw is right here by the door, the speaker surround, and we take that out. To pull these out, they have these little tabs. You have to press the tab in here and at the bottom. That's what you can see me kind of pressing on. You can see one up here hasn't been pressed in yet. And this is really pretty much impossible to do with one hand. I think there's one tab there too. You can see how sticky this is. Hopefully it comes through on the camera. So now we're going to replace this old one with the new one that doesn't have the soft touch material on it. On this aftermarket piece, there is a press fit metal ring in the factory part. It's included on the new one, so we don't have to replace that. This, as people like to say, the installation is the opposite of removal. This fat piece should be at the bottom when you put this in. The aftermarket one does not snap in. We get to put all the screws back in. The aftermarket piece, it's easy to strip. I think I started to strip the one on the top, but it feels secure, so I think we're good. So just be careful with that. It's definitely easier to strip than the factory one. The next thing we're gonna do is just reassemble this door. So what we're gonna check is our clips. So these clips look good. Then on any of these, there are sealing rings. These washer looking things, the rubber washers, just make sure they're present. They tend to come off. I just dropped one. To make sure they're not like stuck to the door. They are. Just carefully make sure that they're present on each one of these. The bottom two are the screws, and all of these still have the sealing rings on them. So now we're gonna start to get this lined up. There's a little bracket here for your door pull, the handle release. This will pop out. You need to make sure it's seated just like that, or else it's not gonna work. Then check your handle, and it works. So now we're gonna put this back together. Okay, screws all get back on. Two at the bottom. You got these two. And finally, the one up here. Then you just take your trim. You can see here's the little tweeter cover. It goes in back here first. Just pops in. So you see here, these clips have to get popped off. Okay. So all I'm gonna try and pop these clips off so we can reuse them. These are not easy to get to. You have to kind of get underneath of them. So they'll pop off and fly across the yard. And hopefully you can see this black coming off of my hands. That's why we're replacing this. So then you take the clips that you just flung across everywhere and you just pop them right back on. One right here. One right there. I'm gonna take this. And I can get to all this and it's in the car so we can clean it. Make sure it's all nice and seated. And clip it back on. And voila. No more sticky door handles.